In this chronicle, we're going to be looking at a document with revision control and be looking at the revision table on the drawing. So to start with, let's just open up my part file and take a look at it. Just a cube, galvanized texture on it. That part also has some eye properties that are filled in. Okay, and if I look at the drawing, I have it so that those properties, including the finish, come through to the drawing border. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check this file into Vault, check in, close files and delete working copy, put in a comment, initial check-in. I'm going to scan for the drawing and check that in at the same time. And as I check in, I'm also going to ask Vault to create a visualization file that we can view inside Vault, or any user can view inside Vault. You've got two ways you can do this. You can create it yourself during check-in, or you can send it to a job server. I'll talk about the job server in a minute. For the time being, I'm going to just say create during check-in, hit OK, add those files to Vault, and it will delete the local copy. That goes, nothing goes there. Okay, if I look at Vault, you can see that it's added those files to Vault, and it has categorized the files and put them into a workflow. So these are now currently work in progress, revision A. If I wanted to continue working on these, inside Inventor I can say open from Vault, find my file, open it, checking it out. Here we are. If I want to open the drawing, I can go to the Vault tab, right click, go to show details. This will show me the history of this file and where it's currently used, or I can select the drawing and just say open, check it out, and then I can start adding in any details that I want to. Okay, so let's do 50 by 50, 50, okay that. You'll see that's also filled in the revision from Vault, both in the model, drawing border, and in the eye properties here. In the drawing, the eye properties have been filled in, but there is no revision number. When I hit save, we should find that that revision number copies across. If it doesn't, we can go to the Vault tab and I can just say update copied properties. Again, let's have a look at my eye properties, and that will fill it in. So what that's doing is that's pulling the property from Vault down to the file. I'll hit save, close this drawing, and then from my part file I will check it in again. Okay. Close file and delete working copy, check both in at the same time. Dim's added to drawing and revision field filled in, and send those off. So that's brilliant. If I look at Vault, then I have both my part files, my drawing file. I can see the history of those files, including the comments, and I'm able to preview those files as well to view the cube or the drawing as it currently stands. As a designer, currently I'm logged in as Mike Manager, so let's log in as my Dave Designer. Our designer would be able to take our part, change state, and move that for review. By doing that, it locks the files out to himself, so he can no longer change this. If I now log in as the manager that's going to review this work, you'll see that for this manager, the files aren't locked. What that means is that the manager can come in and start changing any properties should they want to. So checked by, I could go in there and I could say that's checked by Tim Ray, and OK that. I could also come in here and say that that's been approved by someone else. OK that. If I was to look at this inside Inventor, so let's just log out in Inventor and log in as Mike Manager so we could see what it would be like from his machine. Inside Mike's machine, if he opens these files from Vault, we'll look at the eye properties, we'll be able to see that the information is fed back to the drawing. Again, we might fill in some approved by dates in here if we haven't got those mapped in Vault. Again, let's open up the drawing and take a look at what's happening in it. Hit update and you'll see the check by and approved by information is filled in. So that's great. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to just save and close this drawing. Check both in from my model. Actually, before I do, adding a comment, you should always add a comment. My properties filled in, check that in. Again, that will clear out of our local drive. And if I look in Vault, that will have updated in here. Again, we'll see that this has an up-to-date preview. Okay. Next thing I want to do is send this so it's available to the shop floor. So I'm going to change state. I'm going to move this from review to released. Hit OK. And what we'll see is these files are now released. Okay. If I look at the preview though, you'll see that it's been unable to create a preview. Okay. And that's because as a file goes from review to released, my lifecycle is asking it to generate a new visualization. So if I look at my lifecycle, I look at my transition from review to released, edit that, it's checking that all the properties are compliant. But it's also checking, it's also synchronizing any properties and updating the visual using something called the job server. Now the job server is a program that runs on a client machine. It's in the data management folder, you start menu, and it looks like this. And all it does is it processes jobs in the background. So as you move a file through its life cycle, it may need a revision block updated, it may need a visual created, and it will just generate that as it goes. You can view all the jobs that the job queue has to do by looking at the job server queue inside Vault, so you can see it's currently updating a visual. If I think about what work it's actually doing, when I click on this visual, you'll see it's actually generated the preview whilst I've been talking, so that the shop floor can now see this release data. Again, if I click on the drawing, we'll look at this, we can see the data there. Okay. So next what we're going to do is we are going to make a change to this design, and I'm going to put a revision table into my drawing. Now to add a revision table, before I do that, at the administration level, under behaviors, I'm going to just look at my revision table settings. In here, I can enable revision table. I can put the column headings as I want them to appear in Inventor. And I can say what properties these map to inside Vault. If I need additional control, I have it, so I can say update latest revision only. Okay. If there's more than 8 rows, hide them. And don't show the first revision. So I don't want to see revision 8, that's already in my title block. Okay, or maybe that is only shown in my title block. It's up to me. Okay, I'm going to omit that for now. Hit close. And this time I'm going to change my state from released to work in progress. Now, by changing the state from released to work in progress, again, there is another effect. We bumped the revision in Vault. That needs to be synchronized with the file. You can see currently it's non-compliant, and we look at the revision scheme, it's showing as non-compliant there. If I take a look at my workflow again, okay, we've gone from released to work in progress. When I look at actions, that is bumping the revision, which we know is done, and synchronizing the properties using the job server. My job server works by pulling and checking the job queue every 10 minutes. So if it hasn't got a job to do, it'll wait 10 minutes and check again. If I want to just get it to act now, pause it and resume it, it will carry on straight away. So in this case, you can see it's doing a property sync. Hit F5, you can see those properties are now synced. As we're back in work in progress, inside Inventor, I'm going to log in as Dave Designer again. I'm going to open my file from Vault. Okay. And I'll start by taking a look at the eye properties. Straight away we can see this is revision B. If I now open the drawing, okay, we can see that this is showing revision B. Again, if we want to make sure the properties are synced, we can hit synchronize properties, and that should throw it across from Vault to the file. Look at my properties, we can see revision B in here. We're going to make a change to our design. So inside my model, I'm going to just extend this from 50mm to 75. So nothing major. Go to my drawing, I can see that that has updated my model, but I need to document those changes inside my drawing here. So what I'm going to do is go to Annotate, find my revision area of the Annotate ribbon, and click Vault Revision. Just place that revision onto my drawing. Now, let's just get rid of this column called Zone. I really don't want to see that. Right click Column Chooser, Remove Zone. All I want to see is the revision, which is B, description, date, and approved. Inside description, I'm just going to type my name. So, type the change I've made. So, length altered to 75. Hit OK. Extend that out a little. And that's it. That's all I need to do. I'm just going to save my drawing. Go to back to my part, check it in. Add a comment. Okay, and go look at what's happening in Vault. Okay, so inside Vault, if I look at my drawing, currently I can see it's not actually been approved, this revision change. We're logged in at the moment as Mike Manager, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to change the state to Review. Okay. Manager would then review this. He could change the state to Released. And we know that when we do a state change to Released, this will trigger the job server. So I'll just start that updating what it needs to. You can see one of the jobs it's doing is synchronize properties, the other one is updating the revision table, and the final one is creating the visual. So what should happen is when I look at the drawing now in release, once the job server is finished, the visual I get should have that table filled in. Okay. If I want to make another revision to this, again, change state to work in progress. That will trigger the job server off again, synchronizing our properties. Okay. It's quite quick to run. Again, I could go to Inventor, open those files up. This time I'll change the width to be 20. Okay. I'll go to my Vault, let's open up its drawing. Just make sure all the properties are up to date. So we're on C. Can you see it's created a new revision on that table for me straight away? Select my drawings, let's just say arrange so they're a bit tidier. If it hasn't sorted any little ones, we can sort them ourselves. Inside my title block, again, I'm just going to type the comments that I want. So width change to, I think it was 20. Let's just have a look. Yeah. Okay, that. Save. Close the drawing, check in both the model and the drawing. Now, you may be asking yourself, why didn't I check in just from the drawing? Well, the reason for closing the drawing and doing it from the model is that because I then don't have multiple tabs open in Inventor, it will delete the working copy, keeping my C drive much clearer. Okay, so width changed. Okay, that'll throw the files into Vault. Go to Vault, F5, we can see the revision C, change state to review. The manager could then review them. You could then accept those changes and release them. Again, while they're in review, he could be changing the approved by information, should we need to. Okay. Once that's done, we can resume the job server again. That's going to carry on updating, and straight away, as soon as that's finished, those visuals are available on the shop floor. Okay. Now, you may be wondering why it keeps coming up with John Bartle as the approved by. If I look at my revision table settings, I have set approved as engineer approved by. Okay. If I was to change this, I could change this to created by, okay, or checked in by. There's lots of different fields that I can use. If I did created by, that should be whoever has created this release of the file. So for instance, as we're logged in as Mike Manager, when he goes from review to released, it should use his name. So again, let me change state, work in progress. Okay, I'm going to cheat a little bit. This time I'm just going to open the drawing directly rather than going from the model. Check that out. Update both properties, which will check out my file as well. Okay, so we're on revision D. Okay, let's open up my model. Make a very quick change, so I'll just add a fillet on there. Okay, get rid of that dimension. Let's just add it into here. Where's our fillet? Must be somewhere around. Okay, get the idea though. Just dimension it on here. That'll do. So we've got our design. There it is. We've got our model It's revision D. Got to add the information in, so fill added. Okay, that. Save. Check that into Vault. Okay. Okay, that sends them all off to Vault. Inside here, we're logged in as my manager. So again, I can change state to review, change state to released, and the job server would pick this up within 10 minutes. Because I'm demoing, I'll just resume it. It will carry on going through, updating the revision block. Normally it doesn't take too long. Revision block update is the longest job that the job server will do, so it can take 10-20 seconds to process that. If I look at the part file though, I can see that it has already done the visual for this part file, so we can see the fillet on there. Okay, this is taking a little bit longer to do. It's now creating the visual. That's done. Let's go to my drawing, click on it, that's loaded, and what you'll see is it now says Mike Manager. So it is picking up on the user that has put this document through to approve rather than the iProperty value. So I wanted to show you that there are two different ways of setting it. Again, some people have it so that the description comes from the comments field in the history, but I think that's a bad idea myself. It always says release to manufacture then if you do that. The date is today's date, so that's automated. And as I say, I always get the revision table to only update the latest revision. That way, if I have had to override something in the table, it is not going to change that value for me again. Okay, so hopefully that will help. If you've got any questions,